Good afternoon, everyone. Dead Man Walking 55 here at 5:31 on the east coast of the great United States of America, and I'm already struggling from booming things. So hey, but you know what? It wouldn't be a Dead Man Walking without production without some semblance of booming. So we are live both here on the YouTube side and on Twitch. So in either side, we love to have you here. So we do something over on the Twitch side where we turn emote only on and off, but how that goes, it's just very, very silly what happens sometimes. But hey, I digress. And I tell you what, folks, this is really a show that I have looked forward to for a while with a great individual that I think is a riot. So, but hey, we'll get more to the introduction in just a second. Let's say, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and bring this guy in. He is an amazing human being. I would say definitely a lot of fun and quite often very outspoken there. So, I love his sense of humor. I love his rants. So hopefully today you see a little bit. We get to experience a lot more of that. And somebody that I have followed for quite a long time and I consider really a cool guy out there. Kind of like the role model, the guy that I always wanted to be growing up. Somebody to really just be able to do what he does and get away with it. But no, I was always the guy got caught. He's the one, the Harry. He's not the one, the only. He's not Gerry. He is Gerry from Pop Culture Minefield. Hey, Gerry.
I'm not frozen.
Oh, yeah, you had me going there for a second. I'm like sitting there like, what the heck?
You have no idea. I've been holding that pose for a while, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's going to a long intro.
Well, I usually do. I love my guests.
I can go long periods without blinking.
Boy.
Cats don't like me because of that. I freak them out.
That is something. If you can outstare a cat, that would be
it's one of those weird things. I've never lost a staring contest. It's like, how do you go so long without blinking? I said, I don't know. I can go long periods without blinking. My eyes, they'll get a little crackly and irritated, but I can just keep going. But anyway.
But hey, we're going to get
intro. Thank you.
Really nice. Hey, I mean it. You're great, and we're going to talk about your eyes in a little bit too. So we have a story to share about that. But you know what? I follow you. I've been over around YouTube for a couple years, probably at least before the pandemic. So
I think almost 3 years.
Yeah, 2018 to 2019, because I started like a lot of people do between Clownfish and Nerdrotic and things like that. Then I got over, and then it's been about at least 3 years, I think, too, and seeing you in things and through chats and through things like that. And you know what? The whole story why I'm finally streaming now is my kid Ang finally told me, Dad, get your own channel, because it's like quit bugging me to stream all the time over there. So I'm like, dang it, that was kind of fun. And,
I didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
Keith, I wanted to direct. I wanted to produce and direct the shows with Keith and have Keith do the talking. And I would be behind the camera and every once in a while make snide remarks.
Oh yeah.
In order to get him to laugh. Because that was what I enjoyed doing. I like making him laugh to where he loses his shit.
Oh yeah.
And you've seen it on camera. I know you've seen me crack him up and to where I'll say something fucked up, but he'll just laugh.
Yes.
He'll just fall off screen. I get a kick out of that.
That is hilarious.
But he refused to get on camera without me. So that's how I got stuck doing the show. And then sort of, because things went down with his mom, and it was me. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And what's funny is, he and I are just best buddies, man. We're best friends. We hang out, we talk, and I know so much stuff. We are both encyclopedic about film and sci-fi, but I describe him as he has a, what do you call it? A cork board in his murder board in his head. And it's a board with photos of all the people that are doing things in the industry and little stick pins with yarn stretch, who's connected to who did what. And that is his brain. He has got a murder board about the film industry in his head, television and film. And so what I found out is I bring my knowledge and understanding because I analyze things really well. I know how to look at a story and I know what's going on, what's really going on. I'll look at it, and it's sort of like I predicted, and people talked about it. I predicted Bob Iger was coming back, that he was going to fire Bob Chapek. I said, watch, he's going to do it. That's his angle. He wants to be president of the United States. And Disney was falling apart, and he couldn't get the presidency because he wants I guarantee he still wants the presidency. And he'll never get it if Disney fails.
Right. Well, and you look now the CFO stuff. I mean, I'm not big in all this stuff, but I hear what happens and stuff. But you always wonder with the, all the turnover, and especially with the talk and the buying and acquisitions of Fox and all the other things. And you got a company. I mean, I was watching.
They made a lot of smart moves, but the problem is they didn't do the right things with them.
Right. And because I mean, they just they went shallow. But and like the theme parks now, I saw a theme park stream this morning. Nobody's in the park. It's like crazy. But
the original theme park was supposed to be classic Star Wars, and Kathleen Kennedy talked Iger out of it. Yep. She talked Iger into everything that he did. She is the devil on his shoulder.
Well, before we go too far down that road, let's say hi to who we have here tonight. We've got actually 9 people with us. So, folks, make sure if you haven't already, follow us over on Twitch if you're on that side, and we're on the Twitch side and we're on the YouTube side. Make sure you like and subscribe here. We're at 346 subscribers. We got 2 more today too. So hey, thank you everybody that subscribed. Keep coming in. We'll get to 350 and hopefully 400, 500. Who knows? Who knows where we're going?
Just keep at it.
Exactly. But let me say hi to some great people here. That Penny was the first one in the chat. Hey, Penny.
That's Penny. That's Danny's mom. We love her.
Good to see you, Penny. Yeah, I know she followed my back. And Anime Confusa.
That is the love of my life. That's my girlfriend.
Well, welcome. Well, then that explains this one. Hope you enjoy your date with my guy.
There you go.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I will. I promised to have a good time, and we'll hopefully we won't find any bodies anywhere or run off in some ambulances or any other crazy stuff. So. You never know with that. And Theme Park Casual's here saying hello.
Hey, Theme Park Casual, what's up,
He says, hey, kids, love this guy. Hey, if you talk about one of the great theme park streamers, this guy is the bomb. He's hit us 1,000, got monetized, and go give him a shout if you've not seen him before. The great, stunning, and brave Megatron is with us too. Oi,
what's up, Mike? Us right, man.
All right. Hey,
so you want me to wait here then?
So I guess that's what you get for blowing up his ego. So. Hey, it's like,
how dare you talk nice about me?
Well, I do that with all my guests. I love, Breaking Keith is so much fun. Yeah. But, I do it with my guests. A lot of the people that I've had on I've known through the streams for quite a while. And people that I consider, the more I get to know them and get to be around them, especially like when we have something like this, they become more than just internet friends or acquaintances. It's like you get to know somebody. I mean, but you come a little closer than even family you do sometimes, Yeah. So exactly.
Yeah, so. Like one of my closest friends on the interwebs is Tom. That's why we do that show once, every other week, because he and I actually really enjoy hanging out together. We both are, cinephiles, and we love a lot of the same films. I'm 1982. He's 1984. Even though I love 1984, my major year for film was 82. His is 84, Ghostbusters, all that shit. And I'm Blade Runner, Star Trek, Wrath of Khan, The Thing, all that shit.
You weren't not that old back in 82, were you?
I was 18.
Oh, so you're a little bit older than me then. Oh,
yeah, I'll be 60 next May.
I'm 53, so hey.
You're younger than Keith. Keith is only 2 years younger than me.
All right, well that's cool.
I was born in 64. He was born in 66.
Oh, you're up at my wife's age then. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. Hey.
Oh, you like them? And she older chicks.
Well, she it's a story. I don't think she'll mind. I hope she may or may not be here, but there's a whole story.
Like give my age.
Well, no, actually she is. She does not mind. She takes pride in it. She said, I've earned every one of those years and stuff. So, but it's like, she's like, I felt like robbing the cradle. It was kind of like that way. That's when we met. So, hey, it's all good. We worked out. We've been married 27 years and still going.
Fantastic,
dude. Absolutely. Our friend Wade is here. Hey, Wade.
Wade, what's up, buddy?
Hey, good to see you.
I know real Wade.
I
Good
know.
guy.
Yes, he is. He works
Bakeman's
hard.
girl's here too, I see.
Okay. Well, I'm trying. This StreamYards is blasting. That's a lot of activity for me. But hey, Maddie's daddy, welcome.
Get used
Good to
to
see
it,
you.
man. Get used
I
to it.
appreciate it. It's getting busier. I've had like several streams with at least 20 likes in the last couple weeks, and it's growing. So, but I appreciate it. I can't do this without these people in the chat. The people that subscribe, come out to the chats and stuff and participate. You guys make this worth it. So,
well, they play a huge part in our shows because I like to interact with them.
Exactly, it makes so much difference. And Peter Vangman fan site, good to see you.
That's Bakeman's girl on Twitter.
All righty, Gaming or Watson here too. Hey, all right.
Hey.
No, I did not know. I did not know about that. Anima. I just is it anime or anima?
Anima.
How do I say anima?
It's anima confusa. It means feminine aspect of the male mind confused.
Okay.
That's what it means, literally.
All right, cool. Well, that's cool. Well, yes, I did not know a lot of that about Gary. This is why I love to have this. I learn more about people. They can learn more about me and stuff like that. I tell you, let's see, Gary, I tell you what, you've rocked for a few years. Like I said, following the chats and stuff. Let me get through the rest of the chat and then I'll finish it and we'll set the tables with Masters Maniac Mexico reporting for duty. How do you do, sir? Let's see. I'm trying to go down there. There's a lot of people here, so let's see. Wow. So all right, I think this is where we've got it. And so, all right. Well, like I said, I've seen you around for so many years and stuff like that, and it's just been great to have you. You know, one of the great things that I love the most is that you're somebody that speaks your mind and is not afraid to say what you think.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, you still find a balance of being to the people that need some grace and politeness. You do it with class and dignity. But when somebody needs to be called out, you just no holds bar. So is that how you just are as a person in general?
Oh, always have been.
Mm-hmm.
It's since I was a kid. I spoke my mind and was not afraid to be clear. And it was weird because my dad said, you know, he didn't say it like there was something wrong with me, but he just thought it was so weird how moral I was as a kid and how centered I was as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I was aware of what was right and wrong at a very young age. And I was more clever than most of the people around me. I may not be the smartest guy in the room. I often am, but and I don't want to be. I prefer being around people smarter than me. But I'm often the most clever person in the room. And outwitting bullies was like one of my favorite things to do as a kid because that was how I survived. And I discovered that being funny, bullies can't chase you when you're laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would make bullies laugh and then haul ass.
It defeats, you know, they want to scare and intimidate
You're like,
you.
hey, wait a minute.
Wait, I'm supposed to beat the shit out of you. So, well, let me say hello to Mr. Angel, who's here. Great mind. And here she is.
Oh,
Mrs. Dadman. Yes. And like I said, you know, I spoiled your age, but I know you don't care. So anyway, but I did tell him about how our early days. So, hey, it's all good, Mrs. So, but yeah.
She robbed the cradle with you. And I think that's fine. I'm all for that shit. That's like, I don't know if you caught that Twitter I posted. I was making fun of this magazine for making an issue out of Tom Cruise, the age gap between Tom Cruise and his leading ladies. And I'm like, you know what? There are kids out there being taken and used for you know what.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you're concerning yourself with, two consenting adults.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so stupid.
Yeah.
I preferred older women for years. And then I'm so juvenile. Seriously, I'm so juvenile in my humor and everything. I don't act my age. And when it's like I tried to date women my age and I'm like, oh my God, you're a real fuddy-duddy. I cannot do this. And so younger women tend to be attracted to me. And again, Anima, you know, she's basically a few months older than my son, my oldest boy. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Hey, when you got it, you got it, and you find the right person. Age doesn't matter.
I love her. She's amazing. She puts up with my stuff, and I put up with her crap, and there's just a lot of love.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, like the missus. We've been, like I said, we've been married 27 years. We've been married 27 years, and you know, I can't do. I mean, I'm not even the streams. I mean, she's been great around here keeping me going, but just everything else. You know, if I have to see the doctor or whatever else, she's like my eyes and ears and stuff. So, oh yeah, see,
Bye,
there you go.
Penny.
Oh, bye, Penny. Sorry to.
I'll see you
Okay,
later. She's
yeah.
a sweetheart. I love her.
Oh, yes, I know. It's good to see her over here. I know she'd followed, subscribed a while back, but hey, good to see you, Penny. Always good to see her around another
Anybody
cat.
we suggest, a lot of our followers will subscribe to him. I ask them,
Exactly.
please
So,
go over there and show some support
yeah.
because this is a community.
This
You
is
know,
what this is what I'm glad she was in here so she could say it before I did say that. So she's like she liked the older guys. She was yeah, but hey, I guess when you got it, you got it. Like I said, also.
there's just something about that wrinkled dick. I love it.
Oh, good. It's accent. Oh, Peter Venkman fans. It's accent. Americans love the foreign accents. Yeah. So.
Well, what it is with me is I have trouble with. I hit a point with American women where I'm like the song "American Woman, Get Away from Me." I'm like that. You know, I hit a point with like I remember when my dad died. I'm at my dad's house cleaning it out, and I broke up with the girl over the phone. she calls my dad's apartment, and we're sitting there trying to clean it out, and my daughter's there, my best friend Mac is there, and we're like, you know, because I have several best friends. I refer to my closest friends as my best friends. They're my best friends, all of them. And so we're cleaning out the apartment, and she calls up and she says, I feel like I'm always going to be second fiddle to your daughter. And I'm like, I told you that from the beginning. Even I'm second fiddle to my daughter. You know, she goes, well, I just think this is working. I went, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, have a good weekend. And I hung up the phone. I was done. And when I'm done with people, I just don't fuck around, you know, and I'm very blunt. I'm very direct.
Yeah.
I don't mince words. I think it's wrong to mince words. You know, being overly diplomatic just can cause so many problems. I mean, you should be polite and respectful. Right. Even when you're being blunt, I try to be respectful. Yeah. You know, we had somebody on the show that was talking about how great Star Trek is under Kurtzman. And I'm like, look, man, everybody loves shit. Just don't try to tell me that it's not shit. It's okay if you love shit. It's okay. You know, but it is crappy writing. Yeah, I can put down on paper everything that is technically wrong with Star Trek. You can't. You can just talk about what you like. And I'm not doing that. I'm telling you what's and it's led to some really funny fucking moments.
See, to me, I'm kind of I'm kind of both ways. I like to, a lot of times around things here. I like to focus on the positive and things I like and stuff like that. I try to like that, but I tell you what, you know, there are certain things that it has to be this way. I'm like that with Star Wars.
Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yeah,
Doctor Who. Those three things.
Yeah,
I'm very funny about.
It has to be this. It was built this way. It was designed this. Now, granted, I will say to anybody, if you like the new mouse stuff, okay, fine. If that's what you really like, okay, but don't try to convince me of it. You know, just you go do you. But I will still say Darth Maul should have died once and never come back. Don't tell me about Rebels. I don't need to fucking.
Well, I think it was a mistake Rebels. That he killed him.
But yeah, it was. But I don't need to see friggin' Rebels to bring somebody back to do something that bigger Sith Lords never did and stuff. You know, I'm starting on a rampage there with that one. But you know, there's that type of stuff. There's those inconsistencies. Or don't tell me I have to go watch this show to keep the continuity of everything else. And I just, I mean, you, if you like it, that's fine, but don't sit here and try to tell me I have to like it because, you know, because there's certain places, or like Padme said, you go in a place I can't go, you know, because there is a way that it's done and done right, you know, from the very beginning and stuff. So I agree with you with that. Masters asking when will we go detour again? Mrs. Dadman brought up so much cool history and geography. I went to say this was one of the best nerd panels of the year. We do that on Monday and Tuesday, and then the last Monday of the month, we will finish up our Gary. What we're doing, we put 6,009 miles on the car, going all the way up to Yellowstone and back, and we've got just a half an hour short of 150 hours on the road, but we've done a series of streams already, and we call it Detour of the Dadmans, and we're we got that out there, and we got a few more coming up. So hopefully y'all join us for that. I'll talk more about that then. Anna says, thankfully I'm not German. You don't like that accent. So
no, she speaks Viennese German, and it's more lyrical. It's very pretty. Whereas German is a blunt, kind of an ugly language. I'm not fond of it, and it's funny because I will speak a little German, and I speak at about a 2-year-old level of German, and I can understand more German than I can speak. And she gets aggravated with me. What are you saying? And I'm like, because I say Kübelwagen. Okay. And she's like, what? I said, I'm saying the fucking word. Stop acting like you don't know what I'm saying. And she goes, you don't sound right because, I'm not using her, accent. I'm not using a Germanic accent. And I said, that's because I'm an American and we don't fucking care. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say Puerto Rico. I say Puerto Rico.
Yeah. I guess trying to, because with the way it sounded, at least, would you say it sounds like that Elsa from Last Crusade, that type of?
Now she's got hers is more of a Austrian, not Viennese, but Austrian.
Okay.
Accent. Her accent was Austrian. She's not German. She's Austrian. Okay. And but in real life, Alison Doody is Irish, so she's got a wee bit of a brogue, talks like this,
Right.
But Alison Doody was great in that film, and she's got a prettier accent. Whereas the other guy, ironically, is English playing a German.
Oh yeah,
he played Vogler, I think the character's name was, and his German accent is really bad.
Well, Master's one of our people over here. Is from Germany. He lives down in Mexico, but he speaks German, so I know he talks a lot of German to people around in the chat. So hey, yeah, so it's all good. But yeah, and like the missus said, every time I try a foreign language, it's terrible Southern accent attached. It happens.
And where are you from?
The missus and me. We're from Northeast Florida. We're native Floridians. So
okay.
Yeah, we're native Floridians. We're rare down here. Usually everybody's transplanted from up north everywhere else, but we're true Southerners. So
and the answer to your question is Anima speaks fluent German. She's from Vienna.
That's absolutely so. All right. Well, cool. Glad to have y'all with us. We got 7 here with us today. Make sure you hit that like button, sub if you haven't. We got the great Gerry Kissell. It's Kissell, right? Kissell. Okay.
Yeah, it's 2 S's, 2 L's with a vowel in between. So if the E becomes soft because of the double vowel at the ending, or consonant at the ending.
All right.
So
yeah, I'm always deathly afraid of mispronouncing people's names and stuff like.
Well, there are Kissells. There are Kissells. Yeah. They have 1 L.
Well, although I know you make it clear you are not Gerry.
Yeah. I tolerate being called Gerry because it's been a thing my whole life. And my dad I'm a sort of a junior, and he wanted me to name one of my sons that, and I went no, and he goes, why not? And I said, because I'm not an asshole. I'm not going to put onto my son what you put onto me with calling me that, So what I did is my middle son Sean, his name is Sean Gerry Patrick Kissell, spelled Gerry, but it's pronounced Gerry. And that pissed my dad off to no end. It really made him angry at me.
Well, you know what? That's kind of like, I think my dad didn't like his name. I didn't like my name, but apparently my dad had more say so in my name. So it's like, you go around. That's why when the missus calls me Dad Man half the time even out in public, and we got family and people looking at us, who's Dad Man? It's like, it's just better, It really, really, truly does.
No, Dad Man.
Yes. Oh, and it also throws people ever, because you go in the chat. Oh, it's Dad Man. No, it's not. It's Dad Man. And the whole story with that was because my kid Ang did in 2020 when everything shut down, I had no hobbies. So it was like work from home, going to bed at 9 o'clock, you get grumpy. It's tough. It's mentally hard on somebody like me to just be at home doing nothing like that all the time. And so she's like, Dad, you need to do something. Play Fortnite with me. so, and it was like, okay, just call me Dead Man because I suck. These gaming controllers are too much. I'll just die. And you call me Dead Man. And she's like, I can't do that. So it made me Dad Man and then added 55 in. So, because there's apparently a lot of Dad Mans out there. So that's the origin of that. So, of course, I'm glad I didn't end up with 69, but you know what? Our family sense of humor is very odd around here. So, it's like this. Everybody calls stunning dong now. So, hey.
I don't even understand that. Where did that come from? Stunning to dong.
Because when we play Fortnite, Stunning is one of the people that play with us a lot when we stream. And on there, he's Mega Dong on his Fortnite ID. So, hey.
Yeah, Fat Steven tried to get me to play Fortnite with him because I played Call of Duty. And I jumped on there and I played one game with him. And I told him, I said, the only thing more gay than this game is two grown men fucking.
Oh, wow. It's
just won't play the game. I'm like, no.
It is. It is definitely for people that can actually not necessarily. It's a good casual player game, I will say. But yes,
it's more for more relaxed people. I'm straight up military. I'm all about the military, and that's why I'm frustrated with Call of Duty right now because there's all this cosplay within the game. It drives me crazy. I mean, you take the time to turn this into a military game, and then you start letting people run around in costumes in the game. Mm-hmm. You're trying to turn it into Fortnite, and it's annoying to serious players, that have been playing Call of Duty for years, and we don't like it. We're like, fuck this shit.
No, I can appreciate the difference for it. See, like Fortnite is one of those games where I half the time I end up just getting eliminated anyway, so I just sit there and just embrace blowing up gas stations, just doing silly shit half the time. But but it's really the game that's free. But you end up spending so much money.
That one, and what's the other one?
Passes. What's that?
What's the other one? There's another one like it. PRG or something like that, or
I'm not sure. I'm not.
There's another game, and one claimed the other one stole from them. They did, and it's PRG or something like that, and they created the maps and everything, and then the other game stole it. And,
well, I tell you what, the thing with that game, what the game is, Fortnite's the free game. It's all free, except when you start
getting that's it. Thank you. In the
oh, thank you. Hey, that's somebody new over on the Twitch side. Hey, welcome. Thank you. All right, so appreciate it over there. So who wants to see Homelander? Yeah, I got that. But what I was saying with the Fortnite though is it's a free game. But what they do is they suck you in buying the battle pass, buying the skins, buying all the other cool stuff with it. So that's where they make their money on it. So it's like the missus and I say the miss says that it's better to die gloriously and looking good than to win. But hey, that's all. So hey, thank you again. Geezer Forever.
Geezer for no, that's I don't know.
Geezer Forever. Anyway, glad you're here. Thank you, folks. We got 9 of y'all here. Thank you. We got the great Gerry Kissell here from Pop Culture Minefield. Speaking of that, where I saw you, let's talk about a little bit about you. Have some fun about you, and like we said, I've seen you around for a few years, and I will say you have been cool with the chats. Even when I disappeared for a while and come back and stuff, you always treated me with great and like, hey, I'd never been away and stuff. And I found that a really cool thing with your show being very welcoming with people coming in and stuff like that. But I
love our chat. It's why I do the shows.
Well, how did you develop Pop Culture Minefield? And you said you didn't really want to start streaming, but then
it all started. Yeah, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be on camera. It started back in 2018. I was considering doing a show with another military buddy of mine called Dangerous Nerds, because I created Dangerous Nerds as a Facebook group back in 2011, and it was for military nerds, people who were in the military that were nerds, and nerd family members of people in the military, or people who just simply love the military. And it's still going. I don't run it anymore. I don't have time for it. But basically, it was like I should do a show where we talk about these things from the military's perspective, because we look at things differently than civilians do. And we have a different, the military beats some of that out of us. And we start looking at things completely differently when you're in the military, if you're serious military. Mm-hmm. I was very serious about my service. And I volunteered during a time of war, and I wanted to go. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Didn't happen. But, we got alerted, activated, and then didn't go. And finally, after the conflict was over, I got shipped over to do temporary duty. That led to some funny hijinks. And that's, my daughter says, what did you do in the war, Daddy? I said, mostly funny shit, because I'm a medic. And, in my job, I saw it was to keep people's moods elevated. And so I cracked a lot of jokes. I was always cracking jokes and saying funny, fucked up things. Nothing changed. I've always been like that. I joked one time when I worked because I was a nurse and I worked in the medical field, specifically healthcare, like long-term healthcare. I worked in nursing homes and stuff like that. And I specialized in an Alzheimer unit, working with Alzheimer patients. And I liked doing that. And somebody says, why do you like doing that? I said, because I can tell the same joke every day and I get the same laugh.
Yeah.
There, you laugh. See? Because it's meant as a joke.
It's like really bizarrely odd. It's like you can't help but laugh at it. But yeah, it's.
But I did. I loved working with a lot of the guys I took care of in that home were World War II vets, including this gap got worse between my teeth because it wasn't always this big. I had a gap. You could fit a nickel between my teeth originally. Wow. But now you can put like 2 nickels between my teeth because there was this Dutchman. And I didn't speak Dutch, but I spoke a little German. So I would communicate with him speaking German. And he was an old World War II. He was part of the Dutch underground, in the Netherlands. And he was a warrior. All these guys were old warriors that I took care of. And one day I was standing behind him, helping get his britches up. And I told him we have to get to breakfast soon. And we need to hurry. So I'm pulling up his pants, and I said that to him in German. And next thing you know, he elbows me with that bony elbow because he was old and there's not much meat on him. And he just elbowed me right here, jamming my teeth together, and it smacked and it broke my teeth.
Ooh. Wow.
And my first instinct is to plow his fucking head off his shoulders. Right. But then I'm like, he didn't know what he was doing, Right. So I went, everything's okay. I'm like, that really hurts, but I'll be okay. Yeah. I talked like this for a while because it opened the nerves up, and cold air anything cold would just fucking burn. It would just make my eyes roll over.
Wow.
And but I loved working with those guys, and I think that I was ready to leave when I lost the first one. He had a stroke and died, and he's an old Navy guy from World War II. He was a gunner, and he passed away, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I started doing home health care. I thought that would be better. And no. And I'd gone back to nursing because I got burned out being a paramedic. I got burned out in what really was a short period of time because I lived in Seattle. And so there's a lot of shit happening up there. I got shot at a couple of times,
Seattle? Wow.
There's a lot of gang activity back in the 90s there. And I got shot at once and it was not gang related. This was a guy who had just murdered his wife and his father-in-law. And the cops were there. We were staging with the fire department, like a block away. And they said, he's out of the apartment. And he starts roaming down the street, shooting at anything with lights. And he hit our ambulance. And I know the distinct sound of a gun report and the sound of rounds hitting. And I grabbed my partner and I shoved her to the floorboard. She was in the passenger seat. And I ducked down into it's like the passage between the front compartment and the back. And I was laying there and I'm like looking up and then all of a sudden I felt wet.
Oh gosh.
And she pissed herself. And she piss got all over the inside of the ambulance. I was so angry.
Oh man. Wow.
I was like, oh my God.
You really were in a war zone then.
I'm sorry.
I get it. That's where your training comes in then, I guess. You identify calm. And you just,
I was just calm. and just waiting to see what was going to happen, prepared to act, accordingly.
Yeah.
And then we were in the hospital, Harborview Hospital there in Seattle, and we'd just done a drop-off of gang shooting. And the opposite gang showed up in the ER, and there was a shootout in the damn ER with the cops.
Jeez.
And I grabbed my partner. It was a different partner because I didn't want to partner with that lady anymore. I'm like, you pissed on me. No, I don't want to partner with you.
That's not the type of fluid transfer guys like.
No. So I grabbed my partner. I can't remember his name to this day, but he and I used to do Ren and Stimpy. I do Stimpy, or I do Ren and he'd do Stimpy.
Oh gosh.
And it was funny. We'd just do those voices together. Then Dougie, I think was his name, one of the bigger guys, big beefy guys. He turned to us, those guys are latently homosexual. It's in Newsweek. And we're like, what? And he pulled the article out, and it ruined Ren and Stimpy for him, and he stopped doing it after that.
Hey, you know what? A good voice can never be replaced, though. Hey, I always like going around as Beavis, but then again, when you get to be an adult, walk around with your head in your shirt.
Well, I knew two guys just like Beavis and Butthead in school.
Yeah,
John Newton and Randall Hedge. Those guys wore the metal shirts on and always laughing like that. I'm like, Jesus.
I really want to walk into a church once, slam the door open, and say, "I am Cornholio."
I need TP for my bunghole.
Just see everybody's looking horror turning around, but I know that I will pay dearly for the misses. So if I do
probably, but to finish up the zoo moment there at Harborview, we called it the zoo because that place is crazy. And I turned the corner and I had some gear in my hand and I'm duck walking to keep from getting shot. And I grabbed my partner. I said, "Duck walk with me. We're leaving. We're leaving." Then we went out the power doors, the sliding doors out the main ER doors. Went out to our ambulance and drove away. And the dick thing we would do whenever we left that Harborview Hospital, as we drove around around the building, the back where the doctor's parking is, we would key the mic and it would trigger all the alarms on the cars. And they would leave notes for us. "Please stop keying your mic in the back of the hospital. It sets off the alarms." We're like, "We know. That's why we do it."
Oh my gosh. So that is cool. This is what I like learning about you with the background with stuff like that, things like that, because I want to get back to the eye because you talked about the teeth a second, but I think this is a good segue into what you talked about in your stream this afternoon.
Oh, with heterochromia.
Well, no, yeah, but I want to get back to the ambulance, understanding that that you worked that. I love the show Emergency from the 70s.
Yeah, Emergency had
that's a show that I would love to sometime actually go into detail with people if I ever had enough time.
We'll eventually do an episode on Emergency and Adam 12 because those were two of the most influential shows on me as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think you talked about it a little bit because there's a Wadsworth Townsend Act, I think, which was the first episode because it detailed about the debate going over there in California about establishing the paramedic program. And it was based in real life, but one of the things I love with that show was that it seemed to do a very good, and I think this is what a lot of the things of the 70s I think did in a way that I think they could take lessons from now, that sometimes less is more. They were, when I go back and watch some of the themes of Emergency, they were adult for kids at the time and stuff like that, but they didn't have to make it so in your face or
it was so
over the top.
It was very simplified. It's not like they dumbed it down. They just simplified things so kids can understand. It's written at a fourth grade level. Almost all television and films have been written historically on a fourth grade level, so even kids can understand them. And Emergency, the first episode, which you brought up, which was the Wadsworth Townsend Act episode, which is a movie. It's movie length, and it shows how they were trying to prove that paramedics can work, and they would work directly with specialists in the hospital, and to do whatever they're instructed to over the phone to do to save a life before it gets to the hospital, because people were coding before they get to the hospital because EMTs weren't trained to do certain things, advanced life-saving techniques, and they didn't do defibrillation. That was only to be done in a hospital, And then you get guys like I was DFib certified, IV certified. In the military, I learned how to do some field surgery, and we it's like you go into this advanced training and you realize you have a better, greater chance of saving that life with that skill. Mm-hmm. And I remember we had to pull over once, and we had imminent delivery. And I was teching the call because you rotate. Mm-hmm. One drives, one techs, and then they rotate each call. And it was one of my calls, and we had imminent delivery, and we had to pull over on the side of the Alaskan highway and bring this baby into this world. And this led to a fucked up, funny moment. I had never done this before, where you have the amniotic sac hasn't burst. Her water didn't break. Oh, wow. So as the baby was beginning to push and crown, there was this bubble. It looked like a blister coming out. It looked really weird because it was semi-translucent. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So I'm on the phone with the ER talking to him, and I said, it's semi-translucent. It looks like a blister. And they said, she hasn't broken her water. Ask her. I said, did your water break? And she's like, no. I said, no. And they said, that's the amniotic sac. It hasn't burst. You have to break it. How do I do that? Look up to your right on that little rail. They still have those rails in ambulances. There's a little rail. And usually it's where you hang your IVs or other tools. And there's a tool that always hangs there. And it looks like a long darning needle with a coil at the other end that you hang it on. And they said, pull that down. Now see the nook on the end of that little darning needle. You know what a darning needle looks like? It's got like a little hook on the end.
Okay.
A little tiny one.
Yeah.
For catching the fabric to pull through. So I see that, and they said, yeah, now what you want to do, and they're describing this to me, and I'm doing it as they're describing it to me. And they said, what you want to do is you have that side towards the tissue of the sac and drag it along it. And when it snags, turn it. So I'm doing this as they're saying it. And then right as I'm doing it, the doctor says, but make sure you do it near the top.
Oh,
well,
wow.
It's or not the top. He said, do it near the bottom. And I was near middle top, ended up at the top. And I twist it and it explodes. And I get a face full of amniotic fluid going into my mouth and my nose. And my partner was just like laughing. He thought it was so funny. He was a dick. And I'm like, trying to, and he worked with me. We delivered that baby on the side of the road. It was great.
That's awesome. Those are kind of cool stories. So let's say hi to KZFN. Good to see you. Hi back to you. Good to have you. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button, sub if you haven't. We got the great Gerry Kissell here. I just shared all kinds of crazy stories. There's more to come. And Peter Hinkman fan site says, blah. So, didn't taste like chicken. It didn't taste like chicken, I'm sure.
I'm not going to tell you what it tasted like. It was gross.
I don't blame you. Hey.
And it's not the first time I've done something fucked up like that. When you're new, I tried River Rescue when I was in Virginia. I wanted to try River Rescue, and I walked away from that. I just said, I'm done with you guys. You're assholes. Because they pranked me because I was a new guy. And I had to go. They told me I needed to go in the water. I put my scuba suit on, got in the water, and they kept, get closer. You got to get over there and unlodge them from, because it was a dead body. And I had to unlodge it from a thicket on the side of the river. And I'm like, really? I got it. And they're like, keep going. I get over there. And finally, when I do, it overbobs and pulled me under the water. And when you've had a body in the water for a few days, the skin is becoming liquid and it's coming off and it's in the water. You can see a film in the water. Right. And I swallowed like a cup of that. And I was puking.
I bet.
I was puking and not crying, but I was almost in tears because it was so gross. It was so gross. And then they're laughing, pulling me up out of the water, going, hey, we could have just got it. We had the rod. We could have just got it. We just wanted to fuck with you. And I'm like, I'm done with you guys. I've been tased. You just made me eat human
That's
flesh.
Just wrong. I mean, that's wrong. Dead body wrong. But hey, Zax is here. Hell, Zax, and I
fuck you, Kyle.
There you go. I knew you had a specific response for Zach. So hey,
screw you, Kyle. I'm going home.
Screw you, home. All right.
It's good to see Kyle.
All right, good to see you. Absolutely, folks. So hey, yes, and everybody, yeah, that's sick, and there's a lot of vomit, and
I have funny stories, but some of those stories are fucked up.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say.
It seems like fucked up follows you around pretty well. That's a pretty way to say it. Kind of like the way you bounce around the country. You were overseas. You were in Oregon, Seattle, Washington. Now you're in Virginia. Where have you not lived in the USA? I guess
I've been to 40 of the states. I've lived in Arizona, Washington, California, Missouri, Illinois, Ohio, and Virginia. Oh, and Florida. Most of that during my childhood, because I was one of those kids that my parents were constantly like kidnapping me back and forth. And finally, my dad kidnapped me the last time and took off to the other side of the country to hide. And he raised me from the age 8 on in Virginia. And so I consider myself a Virginian because I grew up in Virginia. I don't have a Southern accent, but when I'm tired, it comes out, and I'll say things like I'm tired.
Yeah.
That's and I do say y'all.
Hey, we do all the time. So what would you say was your favorite place to live, or where do you like best in the country?
Wow. Each place had certain things I really loved about it. Virginia is, I guess, the one I love the most. And I love growing up there. I still have close friends there.
Which part of Virginia? The coastal?
Fredericksburg.
I was in Fredericksburg in the early 90s, and because we visited the battlefield.
I left there in 1990 and joined the Army and never went back.
Did you go to a lot of the battlefields, the Civil War battlefields up?
My dad was a history professor.
Oh, really?
That's why he wanted to move there. He wanted to go to the most historic place in the United States, Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Yeah, I tell you,
battles there from the Civil War, Revolutionary War. It was central hub.
Absolutely, we're planning this whole travel around the country. We hit a few battlefields on the way up and some on the way back that we're going to talk about a little bit more. But we're planning a Virginia trip in the fall, and I'm hoping to spend, because like you said, it's a central hub. I mean, you got the whole right outside of Petersburg all the way out to Williamsburg, and then you have it all the way up to Manassas. And
I went to fake college in Williamsburg.
What's that?
I went to fake college in Williamsburg at William & Mary.
William & Mary. Bill and Mary. I like what that
means is I wasn't actually a student. I pretended to be a student, lived in the dorm.
There you go. That's a spirit. What have you not done?
Any money.
What have you not done, Gary?
I was a fake student. My roommate, Martin Cox, I'm still friends with that fucker to this day. We're still friends. And Martin, his nickname, he gave himself Mangy. He gave himself that nickname, Mangy. And his car was called the Mange-mobile. And we became good friends. And I lived with him. His roommate never showed up. We had a mock funeral for him. And then he goes, you know what you need to do, Gary? Yeah. You need to move in with me. And I'm like, can I do that? And we asked the RA, and he's like, yeah, I don't care. He didn't care. So then the whole RA knew I wasn't a student. I attended classes, and I'm in the yearbook, 1983. It was in 82, but I'm in the yearbook for 83 for having done a play on campus.
Oh my God.
There's a photo of me. And Zoe, who my daughter is named after, Zoe White, she's a British opera singer. She was my soon-to-be wife and ex-wife, Lori's college roommate, and we became good friends. We're still friends to this day. I love her. I named my daughter after her.
That's something you only hear out of a freaking movie. You actually are in the yearbook and all this stuff. You were like seen on campus.
She calls me. Zoe calls me. Yeah. She's like, Gary, you won't believe this. I said, what? She's like Stewie. She has that proper London accent. Yeah. She's like, you're in the yearbook this year. You're in it. I'm like, get out of here. So I drove all the way down to Williamsburg. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive from Fredericksburg. Went down to see her, and she opened a book, and there I am. I'm in there like, holy shit, I made the yearbook. Fuck.
That is a blast and a hoot. God, that's, I'm learning a lot today. This is, like I say, this is when I do these chillin' with for people that are new to the show that have not been here. This is the type of stuff I try to do and get, the focus with the guests and chill out and tell some. yeah, because Anima said not to tell all your stories, and then
yeah, some of my
but,
stories will gross people out.
But Peter Venkman fan site says he'll always have plenty for later. So,
oh my God, there's one I won't tell the whole story, but I saw a guy who looked like a human glass bottom boat because he had a Coke glass up his ass.
Oh, okay.
And it's a story worth telling, but I'm not going to tell it here.
Yeah,
we'll save it
I
for
got
another
you.
time.
Save it for another time. Hey,
but
Masters says Accidental Cannibals is named for excellent name for a
That's
death
not a
metal
band. I
band.
saw
Let's
that.
go make some noise. Yeah.
I did puke it out. So technically, I'm not a cannibal.
Right,
But,
exactly.
Because I threw it up. I threw all of it up. I was empty.
I would
emptied out on that.
Well, it's like taking that crap for the colonoscopy is bad enough to clean yourself out. I could only imagine what that would do to you.
They were like, well, we'll see you next time. I never went back. I went to just be an EMT. I'm like, fuck those guys.
You're gone. You're
River
gone.
Rescue, fuck you.
Exactly. Well, hey, Gary, let's see. Gizer Forev said, the medical training in the military help you transition to EMT. Did you have to take race car classes for driving an ambulance?
But in the military, we're trained to drive a certain way. And it's a mixture of defense and offensive driving. And we learned to do that. And I remember I got written up once for going over a median. They said I was doing 75 miles an hour or some shit. It was like between 50 and 75. They said I was doing it. And I said, if I'm going over 15, it would tear the suspension out of the ambulance. Yeah. No, I didn't do that. But they wrote me up anyway. I said, it's humanly impossible to drive those over a medium at any high speed. They're lying. And I got into a fight with a cop once because he got pissed. We showed up at it was that shooting I told you about. And we showed up at that shooting, and the cop was being pissy because I was speeding, getting there. And he started giving me some shit. And I said, what's your beef? Is it because the gang color wasn't blue? And he got fucking like in my face. And I said, I'll make sure if it's one of you guys, I'll take my time. I didn't mean that.
No,
I was of course, because I love cops.
Yeah.
That guy was pissing me off.
Somebody with the wrong attitude. Yeah. And that's when you were just a ambulance driver. No, that was not military. That was what?
That was a civilian paramedic.
Civilian paramedic,
and, I got in trouble. I got written up several times. I got written up because the Green River Killer was still like active. And they started thinking it was a postal worker. So it hit the news. So we're driving by, who was it? I think that was Dewey was driving. And his life was messed up. And after, I don't even talk about it. He ended up in prison. But Dewey was a good partner when we were together. And we're driving, we're leaving. We had just been at Mount Rainier Station and heading back to the main station.
So you're back in Washington again, right?
It's all in Washington, all of this.
Okay, yeah.
And we're driving back. We're going by this old guy, postal worker, puts a big box in a mailbox, like he's like trying to fit it in there. And Dewey goes, and Dewey's dad was the sheriff of Tualapi, I think was the town. I can't remember the name of the town. Might have been Tequila, Washington. Anyway, he was the sheriff, and so he grew up from cops, and he says, "Wonder what that guy's doing, trying to get that big box in that little mailbox." I said, "It's probably somebody's head." And the guy heard me. We were driving by. I said, probably some hooker's head is what I said. And I got reported for that. He got the number off the ambulance and reported me for saying that when I went by him, the postal worker.
Man, I tell you, that is, dude, I tell you what, you got some stories. I tell you, that is just amazing.
I'm not a very interesting person, but I've lived an interesting life.
Hey,
I know a lot of interesting people.
Hey, it's always the journey, not always, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And we said that many times on our trip across America.
Well, when I write about personal experiences, you'll find something is the truth. Even though I'm writing for personal experience, you'll find I'm at the center of the story, but all this stuff is happening around me. Because all the people I've known have just been like, some of them crazy. I mean, Sean, now Anima's met him virtually, Sean McComb. I mean, that guy set himself on fire. And my job as a former medic was to make sure my friends didn't die.
Right.
I didn't partake in a lot of their shit, but that led to that video. You've got that video, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we did this thing called Vietnam, and I was older than all these guys by a decade, and but they liked having me around because, like I said, I'm juvenile. I don't act my age. I don't talk my age, and we all hung out. They were all skaters. I'm a former skater punk. I liked skateboarding when I was younger. I did the break dancing. I admit it. I did that stupid shit when I was young. And so I was hanging out with these skaters, you know, and we would do crazy stuff. And this is savage stuff that was before Jackass. This is like 5 years before Jackass. And they would do stuff, including Sean put on layers of fucking sweatsuits, just thick layer. And was up on top of the barn, and there was a 20-foot snowdrift at the end of the barn. And he put lighter fluid on himself, set himself on fire, and jumped off the roof into that snow. And my job wasn't to participate in this craziness, was to make sure they didn't die. Right. And we would do this thing every year for 4th of July. We would do a fireworks battle called Vietnam. I didn't name it. They did. I would never have named it that. But that was
exactly.
You know? And they would have one group dressed as American soldiers, and the other one would be dressed as VC or NVA.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And sometimes we'd be split by a river, which is what's in that video. And oh my God, I remember I jammed my knee one time on one of them. And because when fireworks are going off, it works like flares, and shadows can be very dishonest on the ground. And you don't know if you're looking at a shadow of something or a hole. And I misjudged, and it was a hole. And I went into that hole, jammed my knee in my hip, and I didn't feel it so much that night. But the next day, I couldn't walk for a week.
Dang.
I was rolling around in my swivel chair.
It got real. Yay.
I could not walk, man. I'd fall over. It was funny as hell. But they got great video of me doing medical stuff because one dude, Chris, Sean's brother, he had a grenade, a homemade grenade, go off right out of his hand.
Oh, shit.
Second and 3rd degree burns on his hand. Had a firework explode, a mortar explode under his arm, and another one went down the back of his fucking pants, and it burned his ass cheeks. And
I remember hearing you say that one time about that. You had to render aid, right?
Yeah, I had to ice him, and I had to bandage, clean up, put ointment on him, and I forced him to ice his hand. He wanted to pull it out, and I said, "Don't you fuck." He was Army. He was an Army Ranger, and I said, "Don't you fucking pull your hand out of that bucket. You keep your hand in that bucket until I tell you to pull it out." Right. And he did. He fought the pain, and it kept the skin from getting destroyed by doing it. I iced his injuries, his burns.
Yeah.
And we're still friends to this day, but I avoid him because he's a little crazy. Yeah. Last time I saw him physically, he destroyed a hotel room, and I just walked away going, "I want no part of this."
Yes.
Left.
Yes, I know. I'm going to be the one that they come at you for the bill. So
yep. I want no part of this. I exited out of that building so nobody saw me. I wanted out. But all my friends were a little crazy, you know, and since I was a kid, you know, Jim Woodward, one of my closest older friends, crazy as hell, man. Crazy as hell.
Hey, you know, that's it makes you look like the sane one, you know. That's kind of a good position to be. You're the responsible adult of the group. So
I'm the one collecting the information and going to write the book about all this stuff. That's who I am. I want to tell these stories about these people and what they did around me when I was younger. I mean, there was this night when I was in Fate College where Terrence Hutch Healy, his nickname was Hutch. Terrence Healy, I love that guy, man. One of my favorite people I ever met. And I tried to find him, but I can't find him. He and I ended up in an adventure that was just insane. And I can't tell you the whole thing. All I know is it ended with us destroying a 1968 Mustang coupe.
Oh, man.
It went over a rock and it tore out what we thought was the gas tank, but it broke part of the suspension and it broke the tie rod. But we couldn't leave because it tore open the gas tank and emptied out quickly. And we're like, God, thank God that didn't catch fire. We're drunk. We're drunk driving, drunk. And so we walk all the way from the ocean back because we're in a little Gulf area near the naval base, and we had to walk all the way back to Williamsburg, and it was middle of the night, and by the time we got back there, it was dawn. We get back there, we had breakfast, we were sober, hungover, eating. We ate at the campus cafeteria. I had fried bologna on a bagel with scrambled eggs, and ate it ravenously. And then we got a ride from somebody else to take us to Kmart to get a patching kit. We got a patching kit, and that guy drove us all the way out there in his Volkswagen, drove us all the way out back to that car. And we patched the trunk, the gas tank up on that thing. And we get back in the VW, and the kid, I feel so bad because we only got this guy because we wanted to get some booze. So we get door to door finding someone with a car. So he's just some guy that we met randomly that had a car. And he gets into his car and starts to follow us out. And as we're going, we're crossing the bridge. And I look back and I suddenly see his front tires go, bam.
What?
They went, bam. They pointed outward. And
how? I mean, opposite directions.
Instead of hitting the brakes, which we're like, what the fuck? Why didn't he hit the brakes? He opens the door, rolls out of the car. It's only doing about 10, 15 miles an hour. And he rolls out of the car and he gets up and we stop and we're getting out of the car. We're watching it. It's just, you're watching a train wreck. You're watching a train wreck. And this car just begins to, it's making this sound of the tires. And it veers to the right and it goes off into a ravine under the bridge. So when I saw the movie Ferris Bueller, years later, I was like, I've been there for that. Because I stood there with him and Hutch was there and that other dude, I don't remember who that was. And we're all just sort of standing there. And I remember just saying these words going, God, man, I'll hate to be you to have to explain that to my dad. And he just sort of looked at me. And I looked at him and he had hate in his eyes. And we all went back to campus in the Volkswagen. He had to go get someone to go out there to pull it up out of the ravine and tow it back into town to fix it. He had to call his dad and tell him all that shit. And as we pulled up there to campus to get out of the car and he had to go do all that, he turned and he says, I fucking hate you guys. Don't ever talk to me again. And walked away. We never did. We left him the fuck alone.
I'm trying to figure out how the tires went opposite directions. That's where I'm
the tie rod.
It's just like
the tie rod snapped. Tie rod is what holds the tires together. And when the tie rod snapped, they went outward like that. It's crazy, like crazy ears.
That had to be a freaky sight, though, to see that.
Why didn't he hit the brakes? I don't know why he didn't hit the brakes. But I've seen people do some stupid shit in a car. Like one of my friend's mother was driving, and we were in the back seat, and she's got one arm out the window, and she's got one hand on the wheel, and then she reaches over with the steering hand to turn on the radio, and the car starts to go off the road.
Oh, God.
And she starts going, oh! And my friend leaps and grabs the steering wheel from the back seat, grabs it and turns us back onto the road. She couldn't get her brain to work, so she couldn't reach back to grab the wheel. People do some stupid shit in cars, man.
Oh, God. They do a lot of stupid shit with everything in general. Oh, my gosh. But that's a hoot. So, shall we see a little bit of this video?
Yeah, man. So I was talking about the fireworks battles that we would do. Yeah. And this is one of the special, most magical moments. And I'll lead us into this before you show it. So Patio was just did his reserve weekend. And so he was all geared up and he wanted to do this all geared up because he's Army, And so he came with his Kevlar and his fucking web gear and everything, his BDUs, and brought his Foot Locker, which is full of $300 worth of fireworks, which would be like $1,000 today.
Right.
And he's got that there and he dug a hole, put sandbags around it, put a roof over it, fancy fucking thing, And the fireworks battle begins. and it's not too huge. And we're on the other side. I'm on the Viet Cong side with Stuart because we flip coins to see which team you're going to be on. And so we're on the VC side. And now there was this one kid, I can't remember his name. He got gasoline, filled up his tank, and got a free bottle rocket with it, the fill up. And so
that seems like an odd combination.
It is, but it's 4th of July in Missouri, man. You never know what's going to fucking happen. And so all these fireworks are going back and forth, and patios up there like firing rockets and shit, and like, "Go get you motherfuckers!" Ah! You know, and we're all just having fun. And then that kid, I can see his face this day, blonde-haired kid, worked at the local pharmacy, and I can't think of his name now. He had that free fucking cheap ass bottle rocket, man. Cheap bottle rocket. He pops it, and it hits the water and bounces. I think you can see it in the video. It bounces 1 or 2 times in the water, and then goes right in his little bunker. And it goes into that bunker, and there's that footlocker, right? But that footlocker's closed. It's not open.
Mm-hmm.
It found a crack. One spark found a crack that fucking big. And that spark went through into his footlocker. And all hell broke loose. And now you can play the video.
All right.
Show them what happened.
We might stop it a little bit.
This is Patio Patton is what we call him, patio.
Let's see if I got it right. Let's see if I can. Hey, we're moving into big territory with I have to try to do this. So
there, it skipped. See how it skipped? Went in there, and there it went in, and all hell breaks loose.
Wow. Bouncing off the water there.
Can you play the volume with this? Because
I had the volume. I thought so.
No, it's not playing. Because his rants, you can hear us laughing. The more he gets angry and upset, the louder we laugh. Because it was funny.
I know. Oh my gosh.
He's such a bitch about the whole thing, and it's just hilarious.
I got the volume set. I don't know what happened to the volume, so I'm experimenting. Hold on one second.
It's turned up on the video.
Yeah, it is down at the bottom. I got the video. Yeah, it's got the volume all the way up. Let me see something real quick.
Well, I can share it if you're going to have problems, because just let me know. And share the link with me in the private chat. Share the link with me in the private chat.
Hold on a second. Let me see. Yeah, I can just, let's see.
And it made it.
Okay.
It was.
I know what happened. I muted the tab.
Okay,
I muted the tab. Yeah. So I'll try to do it again, and let's see if I can. I got to deal with the echo on my side, I think. But hey, let's go for it.
2 videos dealing with my jerk friends, my crazy friends, ended up on national TV. 2 of them.
Wow, you're famous. You know,
I'm not famous. My friends.
I want to be like you when I grow up. So. All right. I'm just a boring account, you know. So, all right. So let's get back. Let's try this again. So, Dad Man Walking Productions, Dad Man on the job training with Gerry Kissell today. How about that? We'll do that.
Fireworks gone wrong.
All right. Let's go.
Still no sound. There's no sound. There's no sound.
Now, who's that over on the island? There was somebody.
There's no sound. There. There's no sound. Let me share it. Share the link with me, and I'll do it.
Okay, I will. I will. I came through the StreamYard through the Chrome, so we're working on these things this day and age. So, all right, let me give you back the link. Let me go back to the private chat.
I don't know what it's doing to you, man, but that's messed up.
Actually, I know. Sorry about that. Hey, you know what? We're learning around here, so hey, this is also good. So let's see, copy. Let's see, I'm putting it in the private chat. So, and then you bring it up, and I'll share it from where you are. All right, there we go.
All right.
Okay, this is a little bit of on-the-job training today. So hey, always does us good. Hey, at least I didn't boomer it. You know. Boomering is different, but this is just hitting the right settings because I had it unmuted. So
here you go.
All right. Here we go.
Ready?
Yep. Go ahead. Wait, stop it real quick.
Oh shit, my box.
I thought thought he said my butt. That made it. But
No,
my
he says
box.
my box. Oh shit, my box. I'll go back.
We'll blame StreamYard for everything. Oh. And nobody was hurt during this, so.
He's losing his shit now. Oh, he cut it out.
Oh,
Him throwing his helmet down and stomping. Because we went in hysterical laughter when he did that.
Oh, gosh. But, oh, my gosh. That was a fully loaded locker, too, right?
Yeah. $300 worth of fireworks. Look at him. He's mad. He is so mad.
Oh, that's too funny. Oh my gosh, it's still going off. Now, Gerry, if you could pause it right there.
He just cussed him. Fuck, shit. And they keep shooting at him.
So, are those more coming from the other side of the lake to his locker, or is that just...
what we had were PVC pipe guns that would fire fireworks. You would load the fireworks, set them off, and they would, like mortars, you would fire them across the river at each other.
Oh, jeez.
We all made these guns. I didn't have one because my job was medic. That's
right.
all I was there for, is to make sure nobody got killed or tried to keep them from dying. And but they just kept firing into it. He was getting so fucking angry, and the more angry he got, like I said, the more we laughed. That's who we are. We laugh at each other's pain.
You don't laugh; it's a sign of weakness. Oh my gosh! Oh man. How much? Let me ask you this real quick. How many fireworks would be like $300 worth of fireworks back then? An
entire Foot Locker full.
A
lot.
What's the dimensions of a Foot Locker again?
It's about 3 feet by 2 feet deep by 2 feet wide.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was just loaded with fireworks. And that one spark made it through a crack. One spark, one crack. And that's what happened. And it still gives me great pleasure watching this to this day. And he's just yelling, fuck!
Fuck! All my fucking fireworks are gone! Fuck! God damn it!
He's at that point, why stop shooting?
Everything? All my shit burned up. Everything I brought out here burned. We got a fire that lasts for a while up here. Hey, Wilson, can you hurry up?
Oh my god.
I've seen sandbags burn.
Wilson. That was who it was. Wilson that brought the cheap firework. That was who it was. Wilson.
Oh my gosh. That is
I still know Wilson too. He's on my friends list.
Oh my gosh. I remember when you tweeted that one out. That was a hoot. That was a daggum
It was
hoot.
pure insanity that night. Nobody anticipated something like that happen. It was that one in a million moments. And it made national TV. And then Sean, who I'm still very close friends with. In fact, he just messaged me while we were talking that we're going to be doing a cookout soon here in the next couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And we get together as a group. And Mac is, like I said, these are all my best friends. And Mac messages me, hey, Gerry, volcano tacos are back at Taco Bell.
Oh, gosh.
We got to go get some. Because we would sit there. He's one of the other human beings that I get hiccups when I eat something really hot and spicy, and so does he. And we laugh when we're like hanging out together eating spicy food. We're like, it's so hot. I don't know why it does it. Some people it doesn't do that too, but it impacts us, our diaphragm spasms because of the heat. But man, they're some of the craziest best friends. And it led to that script I told you about, The New Vikings. Mac and I wrote that together. It was our love song to all of our friends in our group. And I mixed in some real world elements in there, stuff that happened with us, and then what happened in the Army, where a buddy of ours got killed in an automobile accident on base, and so we went and stole his casket from the mortuary there on post and took it over to, it's basically the E Club, Enlistment Club, and we threw an Irish wake for him. And then when it was all over, we took him back to the mortuary, and when we took him back, we got caught by the MPs. Got busted for it, and
oh my gosh,
nothing happened to us. We lost we lost leave. The XO was like, "You guys did no damage, and I understand what you were doing. You're saying goodbye to your friend." And we're like, "Yes, thank you, sir." You know, and so nothing bad happened. But I added that into the screenplay, and in that one, we steal an entire ambulance from the cops and EMTs with our friend's body in it, who we think is our friend. And I don't want to tell you any more than that, because the ending is what's so fucked up and funny. Because I threw something in, because I went to a suicide once when I was a paramedic, and a lot of what we did as paramedics we were just doing recovery and transport of bodies. And I went to this, and this guy was Army. It was right off of the military post, private residence off post, and the guy had committed suicide with a 12-gauge shotgun.
Oh no!
And he had lip locked it, and so it's split his throat open right here and took everything. It was gone. All that was left was his tongue and the lower part. And we got there, and we're looking around, and the cop looked at me and goes, "Check it out." Points upward. And I turned and looked, and it had one of those drop ceilings, those false ones, the cork. And I looked at it, and then I really looked at it. And this guy had a really high and tight buzz cut. And the explosion, there was so much gas built up that his hairs were blown out of the follicles and were embedded into the false ceiling. It was like fuzz on the ceiling with blood.
Yeah, that's sad.
We're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it was I tell people, man, seeing dead people is not cool.
It is a hard job. It's a very traumatic. Police, fire, everybody, military. It's really, really hard to deal with. And it is
rough. It's where I got most of my PTS from. Was working as a paramedic, because I saw some fucked up shit, man.
You will do.
The worst was with kids. It was just breaking.
I know, and we don't want to. I mean, there's so many things like that, and we don't want to bring everybody down, and because
I won't get into any details, but I'm just saying, it broke me, and that's why I went back to nursing, because I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it anymore.
So you because you had it, so the nursing was actually, you felt like you could help people, right? With that,
I was serving a purpose.
It is kind of funny, because an old boss of mine, he said he worked on a psych ward at military hospital. So it's just, it's interesting. So, and it's thankless work. So, but like you said, it can be really rewarding and you're helping people. So we got one more story that you gave me too, about the Knights of Columbus. You want to talk about that for a minute?
So back in the early 2000s, I was inducted into the Knights of Columbus. I was invited to join. And here, I'll share the screen. Share screen.
Oh, here, I got I think I found the article up. Is this the one?
Yeah, this. You've got it. You've already got it.
I got it. Yep.
Share. Yeah. So I'm the 1.7 millionth Knight of Columbus. My name's in the article, and they wanted to fly me to DC and have me partake in this big thing. And I'm like, that sounds great. I need to bring my daughter. And they said, well, you can't bring your daughter. And I said, well, I'm a single dad raising my kid by myself. There's nobody to watch her. She has to come with me. And they're like giving me grief over this. And I'm like, you don't understand. I like this Knights of Columbus thing. I want to help people, but I'm a dad before I am anything else. And if you cannot fit my kid into this situation, I'm not coming to your damn award ceremony.
Right.
I don't care that much. And they got pissed at me. Everybody in the Knights of Columbus got mad at me.
Yeah.
I basically told them to fuck off. I'm not leaving my kid. Fuck you.
No, exactly. Kids take priority, you know?
Nothing gets between me and my kid. Nothing.
Yeah. I think, like you said earlier, you're number 2 to your kid.
Yeah, I was number 2 to my kid. That's why when my girlfriend, Sarah, at the time, she broke up with me because I feel like I'm always going to come in second fiddle. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Even I do. You know, my kid comes first before anybody else's needs. And if you got a problem with that, even though I told you from the get-go, that's how it is. He's, well, I understood you, but I didn't realize. And I'm like, yeah, it's a you thing. It's not me. So, you know, have a good life. Fuck off.
Exactly. You know, you really, you know, kids are your priority, you know, and that's where they should be. So,
and that's all there is to that story is I got inducted and it's still in the Knights of Columbus main page, the 1.7. Why is 1.7 important? What an odd freaking number to make important.
I like my numbers like anybody else, but I'm like I like them. I like it 1.5. You know, the 1.5 would be okay.
1.5 or 2
or 2 exactly.
Or halfway. 1.7 is just really freaking weird.
Exactly. That is just insane. So. And Peter Venkman's fan site said that's the way it should be with your kids. But yeah, that is really crazy. 1.7. That's the first thing when you showed me that article. I was like, what the hell? That's the first thing I thought. What is 1.7?
It never made sense to me. As they're talking to me, and I'm like, what an odd number to just pick out of the air being important. 1,700,000. How is that an important number? I mean, I guess they do it at every 100,000. Is I think what they do.
But still, it's like I don't know, 100,000. It's still to me, it's irrelevant. You want that 1.5. You want that
1.5 or the whole.
Like
number.
What's happened with the subscriber count on the channel. It's like, you know, I'm trying to not look at numbers because I want to do this right. It's a hobby for fun, and that's really what I want to do. Like today, with hanging out and talking to some people, learning some things and stuff like that, which I think is fascinating with paramedic. Which reminds me of one more question before we get done. I want to take us back to emergency, but just like 300, 350, even 25s, 325, 370. You know, that's kind of cool to see incremental things. But it'd be like pulling up 370. Like, why? You know, it doesn't. It's like whatever. You know. So, but I agree with you on that. That is crazy. So, but hey, you know what? They're lost. I love it. Their little soiree goes up in smoke with the guest of honor not showing up. But hey, question I wanted to ask though was back to emergency TV show, and with your experience being ambulance EMT paramedic, then was, you know, how was it really? How realistic did you find it as
it's as real as a TV show could get.
Because I know a lot of times people probably ask, like, on the military, is that really the military? But really, like with this, especially when you compare like some of the more modern shows that have come out, like ER, all these 911 things, but like the original, the emergency show, how was that compared to what you actually saw?
Well, they didn't have the tools they had by the time I became one. I mean, we had mass trousers at that point. We used them in the military and as paramedics. And that is a hell of a life-saving device right there. Let me tell you.
What is it? What are those?
Mass trousers. They're uninflated when you put them on, and it's to increase blood pressure if there's open wounds and bleeding. So what you do is you put them over the legs, and then you inflate them to get the blood pressure to normalize. It's usually for gunshot wounds, knife wounds, shit like that, or open injuries from a car accident. And by the way, ER was far more realistic when it started. It was my favorite show. We would sit at the station house and watch ER on the weekends as a group. That was fun to watch. A bunch of paramedics just sitting there, you know, watching ER. Good show. I love that show.
Yeah, I'd never gotten to that series though. I was more of the 70s.
It was drama oriented as it went on, but the first few seasons was really good.
Yeah, you know, I just was curious how the old 70s, you know, because it seemed like emergency started it all. So I was just curious to see what you know, how that was, comparatively speaking to what you would see, because
For its time, it was really accurate. They had advisors on the show that worked for Los Angeles County Fire Department.
Well, Stoker, I think it was Michael Stoker, was actually a real life engineer. The guy that drives the truck in the LA County Fire Department. So they did actually have real life firemen as actors in the show.
I know that there are a lot of things about that show I remember. I love Kevin Tighe and Randolph Mantooth. They were the shit. But I also liked Bobby Troop as one of the doctors there. And in real life, he and Julie London were married at one point, but I don't think they were married anymore when they did the show, or they got divorced right around that time. But Julie London was on the show. She was the head nurse there in the ER, the charge nurse. And my dad had a huge thing for Julie London. He watched that show with me for only one reason, because he wanted to see her. And she goes, that is just one well-cut lady right there, let me tell you. And Robert Fuller was in it too. He was the main doctor that you saw.
Right.
Get on the radio with them. And I liked his character. And he came up through the Westerns. He was on, not High Chaparral. What was he? The Virginian. He came up on the show, The Virginian.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And that's, here you go. This is what it makes Keith and I such good friends, is our fucking knowledge of this stuff. We're watching encyclopedias of actors. But there are other actors that were in there that a lot of people don't realize got their start there. Mark Harmon got his start on the show. Tony Dow, best known for playing Wally Cleaver, on the show.
I remember that. I saw that episode a while back. Yeah, Tony Dow. He played some kind of a hoodlum on the street or something. Yeah.
Yep. And Kent McCord played Officer Jim Reed in an episode. And I'm pretty sure his partner was in it too. It was a crossover episode.
Yeah, it was.
Sharon Gless was in it. You know her from Cagney and Lacey.
Right.
God, let me think. Gosh, there's some
other. Well, you're thinking Bobby Troop was actually a singer. He did that Route 66. Get your
car
at 66. Right. Yeah. Because I remember there was it might have been the first
two. John Travolta.
John Travolta. Okay.
He's on ER.
I don't remember the first episode. It was one of the early episodes, but there was one like Dixie was hosting a party, and Brackett pulls up, and Bobby Troop sitting there playing the piano for everybody around. So in the episode, they got to show off his musical abilities. All right. Oh,
great show.
Thank you. I appreciate you hanging out. Yeah, and it was a great show, and I appreciate you hanging out with me for an hour and a half tonight. It's been a blast, and this is what we do here with some of these Chillin' shows. And Gerry, you want to say a little bit about what's going on with you, or if there's anything else?
Well, you want to talk about? Question before the show. You said, "Where did we get the name?"
Okay. Yes.
Culture Minefield, and I'm very proud of where we got the name. I had a little contest with my friends on Facebook, of which are Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan. They're on my page all the time. And I said, we need a new name for this show. Graham Nolan says, you should name the show Pop Culture Minefield. And Keith and I went, that's the winner. That's the name we're going with. So Graham Nolan, of Batman fame, is the guy who named our show Pop Culture Minefield.
So you knew right off the bat wow.
Yeah, but like I said, I didn't want to be on the show. I wanted to direct it. But I noticed that every time I scheduled to do a show, he wouldn't show up. Keith wouldn't show up. And finally I said, okay, I acquiesced and said, I'll be on there with you. Then he showed up. And that's how it happened. But it was inspired because he and I would do panels together at conventions. And we did this one panel where we were only supposed to do like an hour. And we ended up doing 3 hours. And other people who had panels said, you guys keep going. And we did the show. We did a regular episode live in front of an audience. And they all suggested at the end of it that you guys need to do a podcast. You guys know what you're talking about, and you break things down in a way that we can understand, and why things are fucked up in Hollywood. And how it got started. We explained how it got started. And this is how it got started. And people not paying attention led to what we've got now.
Yeah.
People get too comfortable with their jobs and they don't pay attention to who they put into what position. And then those people hire people. And next thing you know, your company is populated by a bunch of assholes.
Yep.
So,
hey, it doesn't happen overnight. It's usually a slow, a frog in the pot, or like, I've always said the domino theory was right. I mean, if you look over history, domino theory, something starts small and it just keeps going, and over time, and you look at it, and like to your point is, what happened before, and then you let the guard down, and now you end up.
Absolutely. Anima, by the way, mentioned that there is a scene in the show SEAL Team where they use the mass trousers, and I complained because they were using them wrong. That's not how you use them. What is he doing?
Right here. Exactly. Yeah.
She
let me say hello real quick to OC Dobbins. Hey, OC, good to see you tonight. Speak the truth. Okay, so take a second if you would like to. I'm not familiar with this, but how did he use them wrong? Did they put them on wrong, or did they?
I think that he was trying to inflate them incorrectly. And I can't remember. I'd have to go back and see the episode. I just remember what she's talking about. I made fun of it when I saw it. I'm like, hey, he's doing that wrong. You don't put him on like that. What is he doing?
Well, I tell you, that's the thing is when you've had training, when you've seen it real world, and then you pick up those little things that are not so little in the real world, but they're that's not quite how we do it. I've actually had people. We actually had one about Ghost Adventures. That I don't know if you're familiar with the show Ghost Adventures, where they go ghost hunting and stuff like that. And everybody's like, oh, all this stuff, and of course they're all hyping stuff. And the fort down to St. Augustine. Castillo de San Marcos, and we're like, hey, yeah, they did a thing here, and the park rangers looked at us like shaking their heads like that didn't happen. I make fun of both ghost hunters and ghost adventures, even though I believe in the paranormal. I don't believe in the way that they depict it. You do not go to a place and get that much activity like they do. It's why I knew it was being fudged. And I caught ghost hunters faking something, and it was right after the incident at the Confederate farmhouse where somebody walked in front of the FLIR camera, and it looked like someone was hooded, but actually what it was the little tiny guy, the main guy with the dark hair, plumber, had pulled his jacket over his fucking head and walked in front of the camera. And I'm like, there's no way that anybody falls for that. And I know that the main other guy, the bald guy, didn't fall for that. He's in on it. That pissed me off. Yeah. And that's the thing is when they do stupid stunts like that, you know that there's probably something there, but then when they
it delegitimizes what other people doing it. When they do that shit, they hurt the community as a whole. And I stopped watching both those shows. I've always believed that the very first movie they did for Ghost Adventures was fake at the Virginia City Hotel.
Oh, they did a movie?
Yeah, there was a pilot movie. Yeah, and it was at the hotel there in Virginia City, Nevada. And all of a sudden, this shit flies off camera, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's fake. I don't buy that for a second. What happened there?" My bullshit detector is almost as good as Don Ecker's. I have a good bullshit detector.
Right.
And I just immediately felt bullshit.
It's just like you say, stuff like that hurts the credible people, the people that actually are invested, that are doing the job right. Because, the desire for ratings, who wants to go see a paranormal show with no ghosts, no activity?
Well, exactly. And then you found out later that they were asked by the network to do some of this stuff for rating purposes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to watch these shows. I'm not ashamed of that. They're doing shit for ratings, then it's delegitimized what they're doing. But I like that paranormal stuff. I believe in UFOs and all that shit and aliens. I mean, it's kind of stupid not to, now that we know that this shit is happening. I don't know if they're aliens, but I know they're not us. They're not humans. Whatever they're doing is. And when it comes to ghosts, I'm not sure I believe in intelligent hauntings. I believe in residual hauntings. I believe in the residual existence of energy left behind.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is that just what's left is there? It's not like an active.
No, it's a repeater. You know, it's like a recording on a tape or a video, you know, playing. And so you can't interact with it. I don't believe you can interact with it. And I've personally seen poltergeist activity personally.
Ooh.
It freaked me the fuck out. My sister and I were playing Mousetrap, the game.
Mm-hmm.
And in the living room, we're the only ones home in the farmhouse back in Illinois. And I think I was like 6 or 7. We were playing Mousetrap. My sister was a couple years older than me. And all of a sudden, we had 2 fireplaces in the living room across from each other. One at the center of the house and one against the forward wall. And there was stuff on the mantles. And all of a sudden, a photo from one mantle flew across over our heads and smashed against the wall above the other mantle.
Wow.
And we saw what happened, and we looked at each other, and we hauled us out of the house. We didn't go back in until our parents got home.
Wow.
That scared the shit out of me. And it wasn't the only thing that happened there.
Yeah, because when you fake it, it really doesn't help. I mean, yeah, say Peter Venkman Fansite says, I'd read that one group had a show on Sci-Fi canceled the show because the Sci-Fi people were trying to add stuff. Yeah, because you want stuff. And because you can't read true story websites because weird crap does happen. And I think also you don't play around in that realm. There is a realm you don't play in it. The missus actually told me no, not the missus, but my sister, I remember my dad saying about it once, that they had a Ouija board. I remember that Ouija board. I can still see it in my mind.
I would never touch that thing.
Well, no, I still see it, but it was like a board game. Milton Bradley, hey, play with the demonic and all, just in a thing right there. And I'm freaked out with Trilogy of Terror, folks, because this thing here, this was my. Let's see if I don't bomb the stream right here.
You know what the
this
game
was my original
avatar. I loved your avatar. Yeah, I love that.
It's like this thing freaked me out, and I had nightmares until I was a teenager. I mean, I was like kicking, vivid nightmares. So this thing really freaked me out. So play around with some of that stuff.
By the way, you know what the name means, Ouija?
No, I don't.
It means yes, yes. It's we, as in French, we, and ja, German. Yes, yes.
Really?
Ouija. And that's what it's from. But I will tell you one little story.
Yeah. Well, let me finish real quick with the Ouija board.
Finish yours.
Was that because I went off on a diatribe. We take detours all the time here, but yeah, I had to bring this thing back in at that time with that being a kid. But no, that they told me that the Ouija board that they were talking did it, and then also the thing slid way across the room. It slid off the board and off that, and apparently my dad took it right then and put it in the trash. So. Yeah, and the missus also told me this had a Ouija board that talked to her, totally freaked her out. So
yeah, I was with a bunch of my friends, and we had met because I managed an ice cream parlor, and they're a bunch of skater punk friends of mine, and we went to one of their houses. The parents were out partying, and we pulled out a Ouija board. Now I didn't play with it. But I sat there with them while they were doing it because I won't touch those things.
Right.
And at one point, I decided to prank at least most of them. I let the guy whose house it was, his family's house, what I was going to do. So we asked this thing to make contact with exactly at a certain time, which I think was midnight. And so I knew that the guest house had its own phone system. For their grandmother when she came to stay, had its own phone and phone number. So I went out to go to the bathroom. I said, I'll be back, guys, right before midnight. And I went into the bathroom, climbed out the window, went back and climbed in the window of the guest house and grabbed the phone. And I called the main line at the house right at midnight.
Holy crap.
And someone picked it and went, hello? And I went,
oh my God.
And hung up the phone. And when I made it back into the house, half the kids were gone.
Well, with a laugh like that.
See it. They told me, man, shit got knocked over. They were getting the fuck out of the house. That freaked them out because you were so loud they could hear you through the phone.
Oh no! Oh God! I could
That was
imagine.
one of my favorite little pranks.
Especially if you had that. And let me say, we have 9 people here with us tonight. Make sure you've hit that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't. We appreciate everybody here on the YouTube side and follow us on Twitch. Rocco the Brave, welcome in. He said, I did that board once, never again. Weird stuff was happening after trying. The board didn't do anything, but lights, door, voices would pop up the night we tried.
Yeah, I don't mess with those things, man. I don't know if that realm exists or not, but I don't want to mess with it if it does.
Exactly. So, oh man. All right. Well, hey, we are a little bit over an hour and a half. Gary, I appreciate your time. You want to say a little bit about your channel?
It's
I mean,
Minefield.
a little bit.
Almost everybody here knows me.
Yay! But still, for people that
Pop Culture Minefield is your one-stop hub for all things pop culture. Keith and I deliver and like to talk. Well, as we say, we like to talk nerd talk, and we love to talk about movies, TV, science fiction, comic books, video games. Occasionally, I'll even post videos of me gaming because I'm a big COD player, Call of Duty. But primarily, we do 5 shows a week. I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. The chief, he does a show on Tuesday morning. It's called Morning Coffee With, and it's a morning show that we talk about stuff. And Thursday, Keith does his show. And then in the afternoon on Friday, we do TGIF, the party that never ends for 2 hours. And then Saturday, we do the show we did just for this one, which is Saturday Morning Fun Time. People are like, yeah, but it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, yeah, it's morning somewhere.
Yeah.
So
exactly. That's the one thing with the YouTubing and everything else is that it's, it's international. I mean, I've got people that played Fortnite with me in not only England. I mean, I've had one and actually that follows us, and we've streamed onto my 24 hours Fortnite stream that's in Australia. So, it's amazing what the internet has done.
Yeah. And, when we started, we recorded our shows and then would air them. And in 2021, that changed, and we started going live. Mm-hmm. And we stopped recording. We did record a recent one because Boone and Sarah, she was the target assessment analyst for the CIA at Benghazi, and Boone was the sniper that fought in that battle at Benghazi. And I had them on, but the problem is they're not morning people. Plus, she has a job. She works for the government, right. And he doesn't get up in the morning.
Yeah,
I don't do mornings. So we had to record in the afternoon, and that's the first time in a long time we recorded an episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, Anama's saying UFO Wednesday in DMN.
Yeah, I do 2 shows on Wednesday morning. We do Dangerous Military Nerds. Got a new host. Buddy of mine is joining. Because Don had to step down because he just can't do 2 shows a day, especially morning. It's rough on him. He's in California. It's too early. Mm-hmm. So he does the UFO show with me now in the afternoon, which used to be the morning. We flipped them. And those shows are on KGRA radio as well as on YouTube. And
because you're not just on YouTube. You're also on what, radio?
Yeah, KGRA radio. All of our shows were, but it was a great experiment. We got a lot of views. We got a lot of reaction from fans. But one reaction happened was some people, fuddy-duddies, had trouble with me because I speak my mind, and sometimes it's very colorful. Right. And they're like, can you tone it down? And I went, this was part of the selling point. I warned you. I cuss.
Mm-hmm.
I warned you.
Well, it's like ESPN, that, and I can't remember the former punter that they've got, that's some big, I can't remember the guy's name because that's how. There's some big guy when they're laying off other people. They signed a big contract. I was looking at last summer, like, who is this guy you brought on college football? But he says he won't change his way, but his followers expect him to, be who he was because he said he would. But yeah, you don't want to change. You want to be yourself.
Yeah, and I can't change. I'm too old to change. Yeah. And I got to be honest, I like the way I am. I'm very comfortable with me.
Exactly. But how did you get onto the radio standpoint? Because you're
I've worked in radio for years.
I know sometimes, but see, Pop Culture Minefield I thought was internet. Then it became you had the radio connection because I know some of your streams you have to end at a certain time.
Introduced us. Don Ecker introduced us to KGRA because that's who we broadcast with last.
Pat McAfee, thank you, Small Time Republic. Thank you, Pat McAfee, and welcome in Small Time Republic. That's the name that I was thinking of. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's it. He introduced us to KGRA, and they like us, and we were all of our shows were on, and but the thing is it was a grand experiment, and we got some good numbers. They really liked our numbers, and we had a good following on the thing. But they just wanted to entertainment was just odd to them, and it just they felt that they wanted to stick with our paranormal and military show. Right. And really, they could have stuck with Military Monday too, because I do military movies or TV shows on Monday.
I tell you, I've loved those. Patton. Anyway, that's another stream of itself. But I like the Military Mondays and how you're picking up certain movies and talking about them. So
yeah, I'm trying to get Boone. Boone will never fucking get up in the morning, but he wants to join us. And I'm like, the problem is you're asleep when we're doing shows. Yep. And I would love to get him on because he's a nerd. He's a real nerd. That sniper. And he's in the movie. They cast a really cool dude to play him in the movie, and he's badass. He is a super badass dude, absolutely a nerd, and he's part of that thing. He fits into that thing of being a dangerous nerd, because a lot of us nerds go into the military. Nerds like Jim Woodward and Mike Beatty, the guys I grew up with, we and Victor too. Victor was as big a nerd as anybody. And Victor Armstrong, all of us went into the military. 3 of us in the Army, and Victor went into the Marine Corps. And we were grunts. We loved fighting. We got into a lot of fist fights when we were younger. A lot of fist fights. I was constantly getting in trouble for fist fighting. And as Jim and I both, we don't brag, this is a fact, we never lost a fist fight. We'd knock the shit out of somebody, because we're a different kind of nerd. And I've said that as a joke.
Well, you're a different kind of guy, though, because you remember, like you told me, I think it was backstage about getting the bullies.
Oh, man. I had a horrible reputation as a bully. I would seek them out, and I would just fuck with them relentlessly, especially in the Army. I'm like, you think you're going to get away with this shit here? Let me fuck your world up for a little bit. And it got me yelled at a few times because of the way I would treat bullies. But like Lieutenant Bose, my XO, she was awesome. I got to tell you, she really was. I caught this guy. We were running around track, and Headpin was his nickname. He was a tubby little guy, and he really was just stocky, but he looked tubby. And he was running around track, and he was getting out of breath. And he's in the middle lane, the center lane, where you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to hang outside. And guys running up, because that's where you're supposed to. That's the passing lane, just like on the highway. That center lane is, the one on the closest inside is for passing. It's not for driving. It's for passing. Same thing with track. Exactly. So this guy gets behind him, goes, "Get out of my way, fat ass!" And I'm like, "Oh," and Hutch is puffing to move over, and I'm like, "But I was mad that he fucking said that to my guy. He's in my squad." So I went center lane, and I intentionally slowed down right when he got behind me. And he, instead of saying anything, he started to go around me, and I ran in front of him. And then he went to move. I could hear him. I was listening, and echolocation. I could hear where he was, and I just kept blocking him. Every time he went to move, I'd block him. And he goes, "Hey, man, I need to get around you." And I did something that he'd never seen before, because I was a boxer. I spun running, and I'm running backwards now, looking at him. I said, "What, you're not going to come and get my fucking fat ass out of the way?" And his eyes got huge. He goes, "Hey, man, I don't want any trouble, man." I said, "You've already got it." Yeah. And I said, you apologize to him. So he apologized to him, yelled, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." And then I said, and I told him, I said, "If I ever catch you doing that with anybody I know, I will fuck you up, dude." Yep. You understand me? You've not felt pain until I beat your ass. No. But I tell you what, I moved and ran. The rest of it finished. Everything was fine. And then when I was done, I heard the XO yell, "Private Kissell, report." God. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I walk over there, and she snaps me, man. "Attention, boy." And she just starts yelling at me, and "How dare you use that language? How dare you threaten another soldier? How dare you?" And just rode me up one side, down the other in front of everybody. And then quietly pulled me aside where nobody could hear, going, "I really liked how you handled that. That's how you do that. You did a really good job. I'm sorry I had to chew you out. And I'm like, so
Yeah.
you're going to yell at me in front of everyone, but then commend me privately? I understood.
Oh my gosh, I've had like it's not just military. I've had bosses do that crap.
You know,
like,
and it was
insane.
I liked her a lot. She was a very good officer. And but she really did like that I did that I stood up for one of my men, and I wouldn't let him get bullied. And
exactly. Well, you were telling me earlier that you make bullies laugh. You'd get them laughing. I smart alecky. So
my comedy worked when I was small, because I used to be small. You wouldn't believe it, but I was very small. I was a scrawny kid, and there were these. I hit the 4th grade, man, and I was half the size of these guys.
Yeah,
I felt like a dwarf, and I had this one found out that I could take a punch because I was, I fought with my brothers, and he found out I could take a punch. So he'd say my name, Kissell. And the minute he said my name, I'd clinch and I would let out a when he hit me. And goddamn, man, I hit him full on. And that would come to be a problem for him later, because eventually I got tired of his shit. And that was in high school. And I hit him with a baseball bat, and I broke his arm and his ribs with one hit. Yeah. And knocked him over a bench, and he couldn't. He turned on the side that was broken, so he couldn't stop his fall. So he smacked his head too.
Oh my gosh!
And the 2 guys that he had with him, I spun and picked up the bat. It was aluminum baseball bat. I said, "You guys want some of this?" And they went, "Fuck no!" And they took off running and left him alone with me. And I put the bat under his chin, and I pushed it on his throat. I said, "You fuck with me ever again." And I can't tell you the whole story because it's too long. But I gave him money to get my property back. Yeah. And then I took the money back from him. Yeah. And I said, if you fuck with me again, I will find your house and I will kill you while you're taking a shit.
Yeah. Well,
and left me alone. Never mess with me again.
Bullies are something else. There's a way to deal with them. So, hey.
You have to stand your ground.
Gary, I'm going to put your link to the – Exactly. You got just an appearance thing, and you get that respect. So yeah. Well, I'll put your link into the chat here. Everybody, make sure if you have not already gone over, subscribe to the channel, Pop Culture Minefield, and there's the YouTube link. And I know you're on Rumble and others. I don't have those links. We don't. I'm on 2 platforms. I'm just learning Discord, so it's like roll it out as we can get to it. Gary, any last thoughts real quick before we wrap up? I say a few things about
the channel. That was fun hanging out, man. I'm glad you asked me. But I am I'm tired. I'm so tired. And I want to hang out with my girlfriend before I go to bed.
I got you. I know you did a show. We're going. Absolutely. They're priorities, They're priorities, but I appreciate you being here. Just go through this.
And being folks, here, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming over. Like I said, a good hanging out and just spend some time and stuff. So, folks, join us Monday and Tuesday coming up for the rest of July. We will have 2, and then I think the last one will probably, Detour to Dad Bands. We've got some on our playlist on our site where we've toured Sugarcane Festival, Palaca, Florida, Fort Pickens, and Pensacola, which is one of only 4 Union forts that did not fall the Confederacy in the Civil War. So we do things like this. So we did 16 days, 6,009 miles, just short of 150 hours. The last 2 videos we popped up were in South Dakota, and our trip around Yellowstone, bison plenty and snow. And you even saw the missus hit me with snowballs because why? I wanted to get hit by snowballs for once. I'm a Floridian. Why not? So join us for that Monday and Tuesday at 8 p.m. Enjoy that ride. If not, go back and watch some of the other shows that we've had. And then Wednesday night, I will be, I don't have a slide for it, but Wednesday night at 8 p.m., I will be talking Raiders of the Lost Ark with Daisy Blossom Flower Child, having a good time on that one that night. And that's, I think, the end of the planned stream so far for July. But August 19th, 7 p.m., it's a Saturday. Please make plans to be here for the 1-year anniversary. To the day, August 19th, will be 1 year of my first stream. Yes, go back, check out the early stuff. It really is awkward, but hey, you move up, move on, and everything. And I hope to see y'all there.
Can you share my Twitter? I just put it in the private chat for us because people follow me on Twitter. I won't talk this way on Pop Culture Minefield's Twitter page, but if you don't mind my political slants, you can follow me over on Twitter.
Yeah. let's see.
Because there I get it's my personal page, so I get political.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like what I do here. I try to keep out of all the politics and stuff too, because it's just
social politics is one thing, because you can talk about woke and all that, but I don't get into my personal politics very often. I don't like talking about presidents or anything, when I'm doing a pop culture Minefield show.
Yeah, I know. And see, it's like this. This was fun, and that's the job that I want in here. I want people to come in, get away from their problems, come in, laugh, share some stories and stuff like that. And if you haven't subbed here, please sub. Like us. We're at 346 subs. We're just trying to crouch it to move it on up. But hey, slowly but surely.
And remember to leave him a comment, because that helps with the algorithm.
Yes, exactly. We appreciate that. So, and join us next month. So thank you, Mrs., for that. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for everyone spending time here. And Penny gives us the thumbs up. So that's there. I share. Yes, your Twitter is in the chat. And
outstanding. Folks, feel free to follow me, guys.
Yes, follow him too. Live streams, youtube.com, twitch.tv, DeadmanWalking55. We're here. The best way to see when I go live, hit that, like I think Penny said earlier, make sure you have the notifications turned on the on YouTube, but also follow me on Twitter, DeadmanWalking55, because I will always tweet out when I go live. So with that, folks, I know Gary's had a long day. He's ready to move on. Thank you for your time, sir. Appreciate you being here.
I was really happy to be here, man. I'm glad. Anytime, man. Invite me.
Well, you know what's funny? We aim for 90 minutes, and we're going to be just short of 2 hours. Like I was telling you, I've had these streams go 4 hours. They just kind of flow and they're natural.
I'm lucky I made it this extra half hour.
I know. I appreciate you.
But I started yawning when
I know, but hey, we got through it. But it all flowed, and I appreciate the time, and appreciate all the new people that were here tonight. And you guys have a great night. We will catch you later before this guy falls apart completely. Let me hit the right button to close this damn thing. But bye all.